Welcome inside the Meadowlands race office for our next edition of the Meadowlands post-position draw show. I'm your host, Justin Horwitz, and today, no stakes races that we are drawing for this Saturday's racing action at the Meadowlands, with post time starting at 7:15. So we will have a full card of overnight races, and so that creates a little more work for the race office, trying to hustle entries. And as always, I'm joined by my guest, Meadowlands Race Secretary Pete Koch. And when you came into work this morning pretty early and you took a look at the horses that were entered, what did you see in the various classes that you had written for this weekend?
Well, all of a sudden my stomach just started fluttering a little bit because we're really not overrun with horses today. But we'll get there, and so we're drawing for we're going to draw on camera today a non-winners of 2 lifetime, which a lot of people would think that it's kind of an insignificant race, but a lot of these horses in here are prepping for the Governor's Cup. And so the Governor's Cup is a 2-year-old Colton Gelding Pace, which goes for over $400,000. And the eliminations for that are the following Saturday. So a lot of people want to get one more race into their horse before the eliminations. So this way, people can get a little look at them before they go into the big race. But like I said, it's been a great race, the Governor's Cup, over the years. These races first started at Garden State Park. And with the demise of Garden State Park, they've come to the Meadowlands. And they've been between here and Mohawk and Woodbine for years. We've had them the last couple of years, and so it should be an interesting race. And like I said, it's big money at the end of the season for these horses. And the colt last night from Tony Alagna, or last Saturday from Tony Alagna's barn, won his second lifetime start, so he looked very good. And
his name was Captain Deo. Right?
We'll
see. So we'll see him in the entry box today. So because it's never easy for you, it's not all 2-year-olds in this field. So it's 2- and 3-year-olds in this race. Non-winners of 2. So we have 8 2-year-olds and 2 3-year-olds. And so explain to us the what we're going to draw for here, because it's going to be a little bit staggered, I guess, with the 2-year-olds taking on the 3-year-olds.
Right. The 2-year-olds and the maidens will draw 1 through 8, and then 3-year-olds will draw the outside posts.
And so that's to kind of handicap the race a little bit, to make it more fair, if you will, with the 2-year-olds having to take on older horses.
Right. Well, there's a little seasoning thing with the 3-year-olds, obviously having more experience than the 2-year-olds. So ideally, we would like to fill it with all 2-year-olds, but things like that, they don't always happen.
As they say, it is what it is. So we will draw the 2 3-year-olds first for post positions 9 and 10. Those 2 3-year-olds are Rock Me Socks Off from Artie Dick's stable and Lord Bullville from trainer Steve Cravani. So we'll draw the 9 and the 10 first in this race.
9.
Post 9, we'll go to Lord Bullville, who's got 4 wins in 24 starts with a mark of 56 and 3, mostly been racing at Monticello recently.
10.
Post 10 will go to Rock Me Socks Off, who, again, one of 2 3-year-olds in this field. 2 for 34 lifetime, and he was 9th in Captain Deo's race last week. So now we have 8 2-year-olds that we're going to draw, many of which are Governor's Cup eligible, like you mentioned, so they'll be looking for that final tune-up before the eliminations in 2 Saturdays.
And we do have 2 coupled entries in here of common ownership from the Jake Lehman stable and the Tony Alagna stable. So there'll be a 1 and a 1A and a 2 and a 2A.
Okay, so let's draw the first horse out. We have post position 3. We'll go to Captain Deo, who won here last Saturday, 52 and 4, 26 and 2 on the end. He's a son of the world champion Worldly Beauty.
2.
Post 2 goes to Paso Grill Beach, 2 for 8 lifetime, 6th last week in that Captain Deo race. Post 7 is 1 of 2 for Tony Alagna's American History. He's 2 for 2 lifetime. A couple of wins at Hoosier Park will make the Meadowlands debut.
5.
Post 5 will be Ideal Feeling. Here's 1 of 2 from Jake Lehman's stable. A Governor's Cup eligible, just 1 career start back at Vernon Downs in October.
8.
Post 8 goes to Seems Surreal. John Balzer trains. 0 for 6 lifetime will make the Big M debut. Another Governor's Cup eligible.
4.
Post position 4. Joe's Life. Here's 1 for Nifty Norman, a son of Roll with Joe. 0 for 4 lifetime, was 5th last week here, and is Governor's Cup eligible as well.
6.
Post 6 goes to J.K. Fielding, who, surprise, surprise, is owned by John Fielding, trained by Ronnie Burt. Governor's Cup eligible 2 for 4 lifetime.
Number 1.
Post 1 goes on the rail to Super Freaky, the only career win at Freehold. That's how Ken called it at Freehold. I was watching that race, actually, when Super Freaky won.
Okay. Well, as we said, a lot of these colts are looking to get one more race in before deciding if they're going to go into the Governor's Cup eliminations next week. And so this is a good field of horses. And like I said, for wagering purposes, a couple of them will be coupled, a 1 and a 1A and a 2 and a 2A. And then when the actual race program will come out, they'll be listed that way.
Okay, so the Governor's Cup, part of a card at the end of November 25th, which is part of the Fall Final Four, which is 4 big money 2-year-old stakes races at the end of the year. That card will also include the 4 Rich Finals and the TVG Free-for-All Series, so it's November 25th. It's one of those nights that you need to pay attention to at the end of this racing season. A lot of money on the line, more than $2 million in stakes purses from November 25th, so we'll see those limbs for the 2-year-old races in 2 Saturdays, and then are we going to have a TVG leg or an open, something to prep those horses as well?
Right. All 4 of the TVG finals will have preps written the following Saturday. Hopefully they fill. And so it's I think people are just kind of getting used to the Meadowlands being back going again. That's probably why we're a little bit light in horses. So we are back in action, and we're looking forward to some of these great stake races.
So we're racing Saturdays in November, so if you have a horse that you'd like to race here, you can certainly get ready to enter on Tuesdays. Can we take a look at the full field here for this 2-year-old race on Saturday night that we just drew? So we drew a field of 10, 2 3-year-olds, and 8 2-year-olds. There'll be a coupled entries, and it's a prep for the Governor's Cup. So can we take a look at the field? Not yet. Okay, let's talk some more. What'd you think of this past Saturday night with the Survivor bet? That was something a lot of people were looking at.
I thought it was really interesting in that after 4 races, correct, that there was only $6.40 worth of winning tickets, and then nobody was able to have the 5th winner. So I don't know if people completely understand how this new bet works, is that whoever keeps going along with winners, they keep surviving. So what it was is there was $6.40 worth of winning tickets that had the first 4 winners, but none of them had the 5th winner. So then the $10,000, which we guaranteed, gets split up amongst those winners. But if one of those tickets had the 5th winner, they would have got the whole $10,000 themselves. So it's kind of interesting talking to different gamblers, and that the way they were kind of feeling that if you bet one of these tickets, you have to use multiple horses in the early legs, and then you can probably use maybe one horse in the late races in the hope that something happens where you'd be the only survivor early on.
Now, it was interesting because we had a couple big long shots in those first couple races, and I remember after the first race where we had about an 18-to-1 shot one, I think that knocked out about 94% of the tickets right after the first leg. So I thought was really interesting the pick 5, which obviously included those first 4 races that were part of the Survivor, and then a 5th race with another decent price, actually paid like thousands. Whereas because there were so many live tickets that all got knocked out at the same time in the Survivor, it came back a few hundred. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well.
Well, one thing about the Meadowlands, which has always been one of our greatest assets, is that you can bet here and get paid. So other tracks, there probably would have been a carryover in that pick 5, but here, somebody who was lucky enough to handicap that got 15 Gs. So maybe there's another 15 Gs out there on Saturday night waiting for you.
I can tell you it wasn't me.
And it wasn't me
either.
Yeah,
it wasn't, I don't know. Whoever it was, though, congratulations. So that's a Survivor Pick 10. That'll be back Saturday night. Here's the field for the race we just drew. The full field now. Remember, this is the 2- and 3-year-olds, non-winners of 2, and several of these horses are prepping for the Governor's Cup, and there will be 2 coupled entries here. So Captain Deo, probably a horse that will be favored, would be my guess as the amateur odds maker here. Won here last Saturday, 52-4, 26-2 on the end of that mile on the front end. Tony Alagna, one of his 2 in here, American History. The other part of the entry is 2 for 2 lifetime at Hoosier Park, so I imagine that will be a pretty well thought of group of 2. that probably will be a big favorite in your non-winners of 2 lifetime race.
I would say you're right on.
There, so Dave Brower, if you're watching, I just did your job for you. There's the morning line favorite in your race. We don't know which race it'll be on the card. That's still to be determined, but it will be a field of 10 with 2 coupled entries. So that's a look at our race. This is the Meadowlands post-position draw show. We will be back next Tuesday at about 11 a.m. to draw hopefully an elimination for one of those fall Final Four races. Hopefully a very overflowing box for you next week, Pete.
We can only hope.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's Pete Koch, Meadowlands Race Secretary, and, of course, John Tomasello, the presiding judge here at the Meadowlands. I'm Justin Horowitz. I'll see you Thursday at 4 o'clock for the J-Ho Show, and tune in Saturday night, 7:15 post time, when we go live racing again from the Meadowlands.